This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm here with Robert Gilvesy from Gilvesy Winery on the shores of Lake Balaton in Hungary. How are you today, sir?
I'm very good, and thanks for having me.
Now, you have been making some wines, white wines, on the shores of Lake Balaton. What is it that makes this largely unknown wine region so special?
Well, besides being a place I fell in love with 20 years ago, I would say the combination of the historic development of the region under the Esterházys. Esterházy is a what do you call them? A aristocracy from that region, and our cellar is built on the foundations of one of their press houses, looking over the Balaton. It has probably been in production for over 200 years. This area. My cellar itself was built in 1786, and it's largely a volcanic region. So as you look out over the landscape, you'll see volcanic buttes of basalt and tufa, and that's kind of mixed with a sandy loam over the slopes of these mountains.
And what does this bring to the wines themselves?
I think you'll experience rather fine minerality, a slight saltiness on the end, and fine acids. So these are wines you can actually lay down for a number of years.
And which grape varietals are we talking about here?
We have, and it's typical to the region, to have Riesling. We have a Sauvignon Blanc, which are 30-year-old vines. The Riesling is a 40-year-old vine, but Fourmint is also typical of the region, and we will also be producing Fourmint in the coming years.
And are there any red grapes grown in Balaton, or round about Balaton?
There are, in fact, historically speaking, before phylloxera, red grapes were grown in probably at least 50% of that region, but after phylloxera it was largely planted in whites of the Riesling Italico. Now what is in reds is primarily Cabernet Franc and Pinot Noir.
Now, when you're looking at the local foodstuffs, the local dishes that are most popular, which of your wines lend themselves most to food, and what would you say the best local dishes would be to pair with your wines?
Well, since we're near the lake, fishes are very nice to have made. The most famous being the fogos, it's called, which is a pike perch. It's a white fish, and it's paired very nicely with the Rieslings, Sauvignon Blanc as well. They're typically done and breaded locally, but more recently, the chefs in the region have been grilling them or baking them, and then with extremely nice results. The traditional spices have been paprika, as you know, and then they would also make a kind of a bouillabaisse of sorts, a Hungarian fish soup, which would be not made typically with fogos, but with another fish called ponty. And that's a kind of a spicier fish soup, which are paired with the more strong acids of some of the whites in the region.
Now, your wines at the current moment in time are really just available within Hungary itself and also in the Czech Republic. Do you have plans to bring these wines to Canada in the near future?
Well, we hope to find people that can appreciate them, and we're trying to see where we can go with it. Yeah, I hope so in the future we can bring it.
What is your understanding of where Canada stands with Hungarian wines at the present moment in time?
Well, unfortunately, I think that most people have a bad impression of Hungarian wines, and that's partly on the doing, actually most of the doing of the Hungarian wine industry. Tokays have been well received worldwide, but as you know, most of them are sweet wine, which get a relatively small audience. The fine wines in Hungary have been produced and consumed mostly within the borders of Hungary, And I think it's time to make a bit of a change and introduce those fine wines abroad and start to create a new reputation for Hungarian wines.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing many more of them upon these shores after tasting the wines this afternoon. Robert, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon at Good Food Revolution and giving us a chance to taste the Gilvesy wines.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.